A definite top story today. The Minnesota Vikings stay undefeated after beating the Houston Texans 34-7. And joining me now is our Vikings insider, Cody Benjamin. Good morning, Cody. Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm running out of things to say to hype up the excitement around the Vikings. I mean, with each week, it's becoming harder and harder not to think that this team is for real.
I mean, seriously, so that's my first question. Is it officially time to take the Vikings seriously?
I think so. I mean, obviously, we're very early. You don't want to get your hopes up. At this point in the season, there's a long season ahead, a lot of variables. Injuries always play a part, especially down the stretch in the season. But you just look at who they played. Again, we talked about this last week and the week before. Like the Giants beating up on them, that's something you're supposed to do. Upsetting the 49ers, that's a statement victory. Routing a team in the Houston Texans that a lot of people think is a Super Bowl contender. I think it is time to start taking the Vikings seriously. I mean, when you look at them top to bottom, I don't see a glaring hole on the roster. I mean, Sam Darnold was the biggest question mark coming into the season. He's performed extremely well. The offense, the depth has been deeper than expected. And the defense, I mean, you're talking about a top five unit right now. So the whole picture looks good if you're a Vikings fan right now.
Okay, yes, let's narrow that down. Where does Sam Darnold rank among NFL quarterbacks now after 3 games?
Yeah, if you're just looking strictly off this season, you know Kevin O'Connell, the coach, he talked about recently that he's not concerned with the past regarding Sam Darnold. He's focused completely on the present. If you're only focused on what's going on in terms of Sam Darnold wearing a Vikings uniform, you're talking about a top 10 quarterback. The way that he's delivered the ball, he's not only controlling the ball, but he's being decisive. He's playing with command. You can see him attacking opposing defenses and opposing defenses that are good. I mean, the Texans and the 49ers, they're some of the best defensive fronts in the NFL. He has not looked phased. He looks like a completely different quarterback than he did early in his career with the New York Jets. It speaks to the supporting cast, which is better and deeper than anyone anticipated, but it also speaks to just his growth. I mean, he clearly has developed a sense of confidence working with this team. So yeah, right now he is playing like a top 10 quarterback. The question, as always, is how long can he sustain it? And obviously we also want to see how healthy is he. He did leave briefly on Sunday with a knee injury. We'll keep track of that.
Okay, yes, definitely. And another big talking point here is Brian Flores's defense. I mean, man, what is the key, do you think, to their success so far?
Yeah, I think it's just the versatility that he has at his disposal. You look at every level of the defense, he's got guys that can move around and they can do it with success. Coming off the edge, you've got guys like Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard. Their job is to rush the passer, but they're also athletic enough to back off the ball and confuse quarterbacks. And so right now, the Vikings still rank in the top 10 in terms of pressuring opposing quarterbacks. But one of the beauties of his defense is he can line up a bunch of guys in the front, make the opposing quarterback think he's coming after you, and then drop those guys back into coverage, and they can do it well. CJ Stroud, the Texans quarterback, I mean, I think he's one of the five best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. He had no answers for Brian Flores' defense. Same thing happened with Brock Purdy the week before. So I just think the versatility, the creativity, the physicality, they've got everything. They are a top five unit right now. So it's great news for Vikings fans.
I mean, the Texans are a really good team. So for them not to even get, to only get 7 points this game,
Yeah.
yeah, pretty impressive. Now, let's talk about Kevin O'Connell. He really is showing such a good vibe with this team, wouldn't you say, this season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that sometimes we can overrate just the feeling that you get from a coach or from a certain type of leader. But I do think it is real in Minnesota. I mean, I've been around, at games, at training camps, around the facility. You can sense that. I mean, this guy is not he's not a phony, and he's certainly not your stereotypical, old-fashioned, hard-nosed head football coach. This is the guy who does care for the players, and the facilities just kind of seep optimism. And it obviously works a lot better when you're winning rather than losing. I mean, if the Vikings were 1-2 and everyone was still happy-go-lucky, I mean, it doesn't make sense. But I think that the players do genuinely trust him. And besides being a great offensive designer, he brings so much encouragement to that locker room.
Which is a great thing to think about going into week 4, where the Vikings are going to play, Minnesota's favorite rival team, the Green Bay Packers. How do you think they will be able to stay unbeaten against the Packers next week?
Yeah, I think as it has been the case the last 2 weeks, it's not going to be easy. I think that the Green Bay Packers, you talk about Kevin O'Connell and his great leadership. I think Matt LaFleur probably rivals, if not bests him as a head coach in terms of offensive play design. I mean, everyone kind of held their breath when Jordan Love, if you're a Packers fan, went down in week 1. They've done just fine. They've been smooth sailing without Jordan Love, which I think speaks to LaFleur's ability to adapt to design an offense around his quarterback's strengths. If it's Malik Willis that's under center for the Packers, I think the Vikings have a much better chance. Malik Willis has athleticism, but Brian Flores, again, the rate at which he confuses quarterbacks, sends pressure. I think that would spell trouble for Malik Willis finally in Green Bay. If it's Jordan Love back on the field at Lambeau, I think that presents a different challenge. His arm talent, the way he can deliver the ball down the field, and then Josh Jacobs being kind of a physical, punishing running back for the Packers. I do think the Packers have what it takes to end this win streak for the Vikings. But again, it's hard to find weaknesses on Minnesota. So 4-0 is definitely not out of the question.
That is good to hear. Well, hey, Cody Benjamin, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we'll talk to you again next Monday at 10:30 a.m. here on the Live Desk.
Thanks so much, Maria.
Yeah, absolutely.